We're going to be going over the October checkpoint review. So I'm going to start out with number 1 by using one of our many math strategies. Are you reading closely and looking? The first R stands for read the question. So I'm going to find the question, I'm going to go all the way to the beginning, and I'm going to start reading at the beginning of that sentence. About how many ice cream cones did they sell? So I can cross that off. U stands for underline, so I'm going to underline that question. About how many ice cream cones did they sell? I can cross that off. The second R stands for read the details, which is everything else. Marble Slab sold 372 ice cream cones during the summer. I can cross that off. And now the C stands for circle clue words. So I'm going to start off by circling Marble Slab. You may not know that that's an ice cream store. And another important detail is 372, but it's important to know what that number is talking about. This is talking about 372 ice cream cones being sold. So I'm going to circle that whole thing because it tells me what it is. And how many ice cream cones tells me what I need to be focusing on. But probably the most important clue word is the word about. About is a rounding word, and that tells me that I need to round in this problem. So I'm done circling my clue words. I've already labeled some of my clue words, and now I can go ahead and start my 4-step process. For this question, and for most of these questions, I'm just going to be using a 3-step process because it gives me a little bit more room to work with on the page. So here's my 3-step process. As we are going to be going through these problems, I have a list of questions that can help me figure out how I can fill in the information that I know. So the first question is, what should I do first on my 3-step process? Well, the very first thing we need to do is we need to write our main idea. And our main idea is going to be very short because we don't want to waste our time writing out this entire sentence again. So we're going to abbreviate or make words really short, but only in math, not in reading. About how many ice cream cones did they sell? Now I can go on to my next question, which is what do I know? Well, I know that we're talking about Marble Slab and they sold 372 ice cream cones. And I also know that I need to round that number. What I don't know is what I need to round by. Well, should I round it to the nearest 10 or to the nearest 100? To figure that out, we need to look at our answer choices and see how many zeros there are. For A, we have 2 zeros. B, C, and D, same thing, 2 zeros. If I round out the number 10, that's only 1 zero. So we're not rounding to the nearest 10. We're going to be rounding to the nearest 100 because 100 has 2 zeros just like the numbers in my answer choices. So that's what I'm going to round to. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my main idea so I don't forget that that's what I need to round to. And I know that the number I need to round is 372. So I'm going to write it right here. Because this is not an addition or subtraction word problem, that's where I'm going to stop with my questions. And now I'm just going to try and round this number to the nearest 100. But to do that, I have to box in my 100. So let me label my place values first. The 2 is in the ones place, the 7 is in the tens place, the 3 is in the hundreds place, and now I need to box in everything up to my hundreds place because I'm going to round to the nearest 100. What number is in the hundreds place? Well, a 3. So when I start my number line that will help me round, I'm going to start by putting a 3 there. What is the value of 300s? Well, 300, exactly like it sounds like. If that confuses you, you can just cross out these numbers and fill the rest in with zeros. That's my first group of 100, and my next group of 100, if I keep counting by hundreds, is going to be 300, 400. So I'm going to write down 400 here. And now I need to find what my midpoint is going to be, because this is going to help me figure out if my number is closer to the 300 or the 400. If we have groups of 100, to find our midpoint, we have to add 50. So if you don't know how to do that, it is totally fine to write out the number off to the side, 300 plus 50, and that will give you 350. That is my midpoint. Now I just need to figure out where my 372 is going to go in my number line. Well, if you don't know right away, you can figure it out by counting by tens using your little tick marks. 300, 310, 320, 330, 340, 350, 360, 370, and I'm going to stop there because this is 372. So I know that my number goes there. I'm going to put a big dot there, and now I need to see if it's closer to the 300 or the 400. Well, it's closer to the 400 because it's on the after side of our midpoint. So I'm going to round my number to 400, and that is going to be my answer. The answer choice for that is B. And before I move on to the next one, I need to justify underneath. All I did was round to the nearest 100. Now we can move on to number 2. On number 2, I'm going to set it up by writing down, are you reading closely and looking? I need to find the beginning of my question, and I'm going to read. About how many yards is this? Now I need to underline. Read the details. John and Jeff went golfing over the weekend. One of the holes was 75 yards from the tee. About how many yards is this? Now I need to circle some clue words. You may not know what some of these words are, so let me explain what golf is. Golf is a game that people play that involves a little white ball and a stick. So you have to grab your golf club, is what it's called, and you hit the ball, and you try and hit the ball and make it land inside of a hole. Before you hit the ball, it has to go on a tee, which looks like this. So it's not actually touching the grass. So you're not hitting the dirt in the air whenever you try and throw and hit the ball. So that's what these words are talking about. So they went golfing, that's a game, over the weekend. One of the holes, like the one we just saw, was 75 yards from the tee, which is that thing that the golf ball rests on. So I'm going to circle my clue word of 75 yards. And another important clue word that I have here is about. That's a rounding word. That is my clue that we need to round. About how many yards is what I need to focus on. So now I need to set up my 3-step process so I have enough room to make my number line. My first question is, what should I do first? Well, my main idea, and it's going to be short. About how many yards is that going to be? Right now I don't know what I need to round by, so I'm just going to put my R right there. And I'm going to look at my answer choices. A has 1 0, and all of the rest of them only have 1 0. And if I write out the number 10, that also only has 1 0. That means I need to round to the nearest 10. So I'm going to put that in my main idea. And now I need to write down my important detail in the details section. The number I'm going to round is 75 yards. And since I'm rounding to the nearest 10, I have to box in my 10. Well, I know the 5 is in the ones place, and the 7 is in the tens place. So I box in everything up to the tens place. The number that's in the tens place is the 7. So when I set up my number line, that number needs to go first. And the other number turns into a 0. Because 7 tens is 70. And my next group of 10 is 80. My midpoint for this one is a lot easier because when I have groups of 10, all I need to do is add 5 to get to my midpoint. And 70 plus 5 is 75. Hey, that's the same as my number that I'm trying to round. So if I put my big dot right here, it's actually the same distance between each group of 10. But in life we have to keep moving forward, so we're actually going to round up to 80. And that's my answer. It is in my answer choices, so my answer is D. And I'm going to justify that by saying that I rounded to the nearest 10. And now we can move on to number 3. I'm going to set it up with, are you reading closely and looking? I'm going to find the beginning of my question, and I'm going to read. Which of the following is a way to represent this number? Underline. The second R means read the details. The Smith family traveled a total of 24,807 miles during the summer. My clue words. My biggest clue is the number, 24,807. But I need to know what that is. It's 24,807 miles that they traveled. My next clue word is represent. That can be tricky. That just means show. And I'm going to circle which of the following, because whenever we talk about which of the following, we're just talking about which of these, which of the answer choices. So which of the answer choices shows this number? What should I do first? The first thing I need to do is my main idea. So I'm going to set up my 3-step. My main idea is going to be which of the following is a way to represent the number. That sign means number. And now I need to go over what I know. Well, I know my most important detail is this number, so that's the number that I'm going to write here, because that is the number that needs to be the same as what is shown in the answer choices. Now, the answer choices have all of the rest of the information. So I'm done with looking at my problem, and now I just need to focus on these numbers. They all have pretty big numbers, and they're all being put together with other big numbers. So we can add them because they have lots of zeros, and adding zeros is easy. But we need to make sure that they're lined up straight. And the best way to do that is by making our own place value chart. So I'm going to make one for each of my letters until I get to the right answer. So I'm going to make one for A. A has a lot of big numbers, and I just need to figure out what the biggest place value I need to make my place value chart is going to be. So the zeros and the ones, this is in the tens, this is in the hundreds, this is in the 1,000s, and the 2 is in the 10,000s. So I need to make place value charts that go all the way to the 10,000s place so that this big number can fit in there. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s. Don't forget your comma here. I'm going to bring down my bars, and now all I need to do is put in all of these numbers inside of this place value chart, but I'm just focusing on A. It can be tricky to put a big number in a place value chart. So you can either go by the way that it sounds, 20,000. I know 20 is a 10, and I just said thousand, so maybe I need to start in the 10,000s by writing my 2, 0, 0, 0, 0. Or if this is easier for you, maybe you just need to start out at the ones and cross off each number as you write it down. So the zeros and the ones, I'm going to write that. The zeros and the tens, The 0 is in the hundreds. The 0 is in the 1000s. This 2 is in the 10,000s. Don't forget your comma. Now I need to put in 400. Cross out the 1s. Cross the 0, it's in the 10s. The 4 is in the hundreds. Now I need to go and write 80. Cross out the 0. Cross out the 8. Now onto 7. Cross out the 7, that's in the 1s. So I've written down every single number for answer choice A, and now they're on top of each other perfectly, so I can add them, and it's going to be really easy. I'm going to put them together. When I put 7 together with 0, it's 7. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 0 is 4. Bring down the 0. Don't forget your comma. Bring down the 2, and I get an answer of 20,487. The number that I have to make sure it matches with is my number, 24,807. Those numbers are different because this one has a 20 and this one has a 24 in the thousands. So I need to cross out A, that's going to be incorrect. So now that we figured out that A was incorrect, let's move on to B and make a place value chart for B. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s. Don't forget your comma. I'm going to put in my first big number, which is 10,000. Don't forget your comma. My next number is also 10,000. $4,000 now. Since I just said 4,000, I can go ahead and start in the 1,000s place with that. 4,000. I can just go by a little bit faster. 80, I know that's in the tens. And 7 is in the ones. So now that I have all of my numbers here, I can put them together really easily. 7, 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 4 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. So my answer there would be 24,087, which is different from 24,807. So B doesn't match either. Let's make a place value chart for C. Don't forget your comma. The first number here is 20,000. My next number is 4,000. That should be easy to write down because we're in the thousands place. Let's go to the thousands place, and I'm going to write 4,000. The next number is 500. So I need to go to the hundreds place and start there with the 5. The next one is 300. You have to be very careful. Some people earlier today were thinking that this was 30. 300. Look at the hundreds place. Copy that down. And 7 ones. You can put it together. 5 plus 3 is 8. Bring down the 4, bring down the 2, and I get 24,807. 24,807. It's a match. C is my answer. When you justify, all you have to do is that you made some, write down that you made some place value charts. Now we can go on to number 4. I'm going to set it up. Are you reading closely and looking? Find the beginning of the question. Read. Which number sentence shows how to find the number of bricks he bought for the project? Underline. Cross it out. Read the details. Corey had 94 bricks left after making his porch. He used 121 bricks on the floor and 78 bricks on seating. Cross it out. I need to circle some clue words. I know this question is about Corey, and he had 94 bricks left when he was done with his project. He used 121 bricks on the floor and 78 bricks on seating. Which number sentence shows how to find the number of bricks he bought for the project? So here are my number sentences, and I need to choose the one that would help me solve the problem. So now that I'm done with circling my clue words, and I don't really need to label anything, I can start my 3-step. And this is where my questions will definitely come in handy because this is a word problem. What should I do first? My main idea. Which number sentence will show the number of bricks he bought? Next question. What do I know? Well, I know he had a project. I know that at the end of the project he had 94 bricks left. I know that he used 121 of them for the floor and 78 of them for the seating. How can I represent that in a strip diagram? Represent means show. How could I show that? Well, who is this question about? It's about Corey. So I'm going to start by writing down C for Corey. And what does Corey have? Well, Corey has bricks. So I'm going to write down B for bricks because the bar that I'm about to draw represents Corey's bricks. And that's all his bricks. I know that he had 94 bricks left, so that 94 is a part of all of the bricks that he had in the beginning. So I'm going to write down 94, and I'm going to make an L for left. I also know that he used 121 of all of his bricks for the floor. So a chunk of this is going to be 121. And he used those for the floor, so I need to label that. I know he also used 78 for the seating. So the last chunk is going to be for the 78, and I'm going to label that S for seating. Now these are all of the bricks that he has. I don't know what the total is, but I do know that the total goes at the top. I'm going to put a question mark at the top, and I'm going to fill in my brackets, because my brackets are like arms that grab all of these numbers. And now I don't even need to think about what to do in this problem because the picture will just tell me. I always like to talk about me being younger and playing with my Legos. These blocks definitely look like Legos that have been clipped together. I know that my action here is put together. That has to do with my next question. Am I putting together or am I taking apart? This picture tells me that I'm definitely putting these together because they all come together to make the total. So let's look at the next question. What operation will help me do that? Which one is going to help me put them together? Well, the operation that we're going to use, the one that helps me fix this problem and put numbers together, is going to be addition. So I'm going to make that clue up here in the corner. And then I'm going to stop for a second and look at my answer choices. Now in every single answer choice, my answer is a box. That's not really the answer. It just means that they don't really care what the answer is. They care about which number sentence shows how to find the number. I already know that I need to add all of these numbers. The picture is not telling me that I need to take away anything, so I'm just going to use the process of elimination. That means I'm going to cross out the ones that are wrong. A has subtraction. We're not doing that. A is wrong. B has subtraction. We're not taking away anything. B is incorrect. C has subtraction. D doesn't. D just has addition. That's exactly what I was going to do with these numbers. And it doesn't number which number goes first. It could be this one, it could be this one, it could be that one. But this one's nice because it comes in the same order. So D is my answer. And my justification is going to be that I eliminated my answer choices. And I drew my strip diagram. 4 was easy. Let's move on to 5. If 4 was easy, 5 is even easier. It just wants you to write a number that is larger than 95,303. I'm going to circle the word larger and I'm going to write bigger. If I need to write a number that's bigger, I need to start comparing these two numbers. And the larger number gets the larger number of dots. And the smaller number gets the least number of dots. So my comparison sign is going to point this way, because this number is less than. This one's really easy because all you really need to do is just pick a random number and copy everything else. 9530. Except when you get to that last number that you circled, just make sure that you write a number that's bigger. 4 is bigger than 3. So I just wrote a number that's larger than that number. And it doesn't even always have to be that way. Maybe instead of choosing that ones place number, maybe you choose a number in the hundreds place. I can copy down the 9 and the 5. And maybe instead of a 3, I'll write a 6, because 6 is bigger than 3. And then I copy the rest. This number is also larger than that one. So really you can write any number that you want as long as it's bigger. You don't even have to copy the rest of the numbers. Maybe you can just invent a number that's bigger. Maybe we can write down 100,000. That number is also larger than this one because it has a number in the 100,000s place. Any one of those will work. Explain why you chose that number. I chose that number because it has a number in the 100,000s place. But your reasoning can be different depending on what number you write. Let's move on. 6. Are you reading closely and looking? Read the question. Which list below shows the names in order from the highest to lowest scores? Here's my scores. Underline the question. Read the details. The 4 highest scores were recorded for the Ninja Express game on a chart. So here's the chart. That's going to be an important detail. Now I need to circle some clue words. Which list below? The lists below are here. Which one shows the name in order from the highest? Circle highest. That means biggest or largest. To lowest. Circle lowest. That means smallest or least. And I can label something to make it easier by labeling that I need to make the list from my large number to my small number, or greater than, less than. Any one of those will work. So I need to set up my 3-step. What is the thing that I'm going to do first? My main idea. Which list shows the name in order from greatest to least. My details is everything that's right here. So I'm just going to take an arrow and I'm going to bring it down. Now really, since all of my details are right here, I don't even have to copy these numbers anywhere again, because this is already lined up nice and neat. All I need to do is focus on the numbers that are bigger. And the easiest way to do that is by going to the biggest place value. Which number is bigger here? 4, 3, 4, or 4? Well, I know that 4 and 4 and 4 is the same number and that they're all really big. So I'm going to circle them because those are the numbers that I'm going to focus on. Sam's number is small, and I don't want to write the small number first. If they're all the same number then I need to look at the numbers next door. Which one's bigger, the 2, the 1, or the 1? Well, the 2's bigger, so I'm going to circle the 2. And now, I know that Rick's number is my number 1 biggest number. Now that I have that out of the way, now I need to focus on which of these numbers is larger. Well, 1 is the same as 1, so I need to go to the next place value. Which one is bigger now? Well, the 6 is bigger, so I'm going to circle the 6. And now Willie's number is my number 2 biggest number. Just so I don't lose my place, I'm going to list those names. My number 1 biggest number was Rick, so I'm going to write down R for Rick, comma. My number 2 biggest number was Willie. I'm going to write a W for Willie. And really I could just keep going, but if I use the process of elimination, I can easily cross out answers that don't match mine. So my first one was Rick. This one says Rick, B says Rick, check. C says Sam, that's incorrect. And D says Willie, that's wrong, because Willie comes next. So both A and B say Rick. Now the next one just needs to say Willie. Well, Jason isn't next. Willie's next. So A is incorrect and B is our answer. I didn't even have to finish. And the way I justify that is by eliminating my answer choices and also by comparing on my place value chart that was already made for me. Now we can move on to number 7. Number 7 is another word problem. Are you reading closely and looking? Which equation can be used to show how many collector cards he has left? Read the details. Stephen has 127 collector cards. He bought 179 more collector cards. Then he gave 35 of them to his friend. I'm going to circle my clue words. I know this is about Stephen, and he has 127 collector cards. He bought 179 more. And then he gave 35 to a friend. If you're giving something away, it's going away. That's a clue that something needs to be taken away. Which equation, which number sentence can be used to show how many collector cards he has left? So let's look at our answer choices. This is another one where they don't care about the answer. They just want to know how you can find the right answer. So I'm going to set up my 3-step. What should I do first? My main idea. Which equation can show how many collector cards he has left? And now, for my next question, what do I know? Well, I know that Stephen had 127 cards. He bought or got 179 more, and then he gave 35 of them to his friend. How can I represent that in a strip diagram? Well, first I need to ask myself, who is this question about? It's about Stephen, and Stephen has collector cards. I'm going to make a strip that shows his collector cards. In the beginning, he had 127 collector cards. So that's how much he has. He bought 179 more collector cards. If you get more cards than you're putting together. So I need to put together my next strip with the strip I already had and write 179. That's how many he bought. And then he gave away 35 of whatever this number is, which I don't know yet. I don't know the total, so I'm going to put a question mark in my brackets. And whatever that number is, I need to take away 35, because he's giving 35 of them away. Before I draw that part of my picture, I'm going to write the symbol, the operation that I need to figure out what the total is between how many he had and how many more he bought. The operation that's going to help me is addition, because I'm putting those bars together. I don't need to know the answer for that, so I'm just going to go ahead and pretend like I know the answer. I know I'm still talking about Stephen's cards. I'm going to copy that strip, and I'm going to give myself more room. This strip should be the same number as that one, because it's the same size. And for my total, which I still don't know what it is, I need to give away 35. So I'm going to write 35 here, and I'm going to take that away. I don't know what goes here, but I do know that by looking at this picture, since I have an action of take away, that my operation is going to be subtraction. The pictures really helped me understand what steps I needed to take, and that's why they're so important. So first I need to add these two numbers, and then take away the 35. I'm just going to use my process of elimination to figure out which one shows the same steps that I took. 127 put together with 179. Well, even though these numbers are in a different order, they're still coming together. 179 could go first, like this one, and we're still adding 127, so far that one's correct. And then it says take away 35. That's exactly what I did next. First I added these two, and then I took away 35. So that's correct. My answer here is A. Now on a regular test, it would really encourage you to keep moving forward and making sure that the answer really is A. But for right now, I'm just going to move on with my justify. To justify, I eliminated my answer choices. 8. This one's really easy. Are you reading closely and looking? This one doesn't have a question, so I'm just going to read the last sentence. Write the number of stars Galileo counted in the sky in standard form. Easy. Underline. Read the details. When Galileo counted the stars, he counted 8 10,000s, plus 2 thousands, plus 4 hundredths, plus 7 tens, plus 9 ones. Circle the clue words. Well, my numbers are definitely a big clue, so I'm going to circle most of them, all of them. And then it says write the number of stars he counted in standard form. I know standard form is a plain old number, so I'm just going to write plain number. And now I can set up my 3-step. I can cross out the C, already labeled, 3-step. What do I need to do first? My main idea. Write the number of stars in standard form. And in my details, I have all of these big numbers, so I'm just going to take them all and bring them down because I don't want to waste any time. Since we're talking about really big numbers, a good tool to use here would be a place value chart. It can even fit down here. The biggest place value I see is not ones, not tens, not hundreds, not thousands, but 10,000. So I'm going to make mine go all the way to the 10,000s. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s. Don't forget your comma. Split it up. All I really need to do is put the number where it tells me to put it. It's telling me to put the 8 and the 10,000s place. So I need to find my 10,000s, and I'm going to write 8 there. You're done with that one. Now it's telling me to write 2 and the thousands place. So find the thousands and write 2. We're done with that one. For hundreds, go to hundreds and write 4. We're done with that one. 7 tens, go to the tens and write 7. 9 ones, go to the ones, write 9. So I just wrote that big number in standard form because this is a regular old, plain old number, and that is my answer. To justify, I'm just going to say that I used a place value chart. Next one. Are you reading closely and looking? How many jelly beans were not pink? I'm going to underline my question. I'm going to read the details. Ms. Hernandez had 156 jelly beans in a bag. 138 of the jelly beans were pink. How many jelly beans were not pink? Circle your clue words. They want to know how many jelly beans were not pink. I know Ms. Hernandez had 156 jelly beans, and that 138 of the jelly beans were pink. It'll be easier if I just write down that number, 138, in standard form. So now I can set up my 3-step. What should I do first? My main idea. How many jelly beans are not pink? My next question is, what do I know? Well, I know that Ms. Hernandez had 156 jelly beans, 138 of them were pink. I need to know how many were not pink. Who is this question about? Ms. Hernandez. And what does she have? Jelly beans. So now I'm going to use the information that I know to figure out how I can represent that in a strip diagram. How I can show that in a strip diagram. So here's Ms. Hernandez's jelly beans. Here's her bar. That represents her jelly beans. And I know that she had a total of 156 jelly beans. And I know that my total number goes at the top. 156 in her bag. I'm going to write in my brackets because they're like long arms that grab all of these numbers. I know that some were pink and some were not pink. And I know that 138 of them were pink. So part of this needs to be 138 because that's the part that was pink. The other part, I don't know. I don't know how many were not pink. And that's what I need to figure out. If you ever have a picture that looks like this, and you don't know what's in a certain part inside of your strip, that means that you need to take away what you know to figure out what you don't know. So our action here is missing part, because we are pretending that we're grabbing our magnifying glass and searching for that missing number. If our action is missing part, our operation, the way we're going to fix this problem, is going to be through subtraction, because we need to take away what we know to figure out what we don't know. So in my in my strategy box, I'm going to write down my total, 156, and I need to take away what I know, 138. This requires some regrouping. You cannot take away 8 from 6. So we need to come over here and borrow from our tens. We're going to end up having 4 tens, but we're going to end up having 16 ones. 16 take away 8 is 8. 4 take away 3 is 1. 1 take away 1 is nothing. So 18. We need to figure out where this number goes in our strip. It goes in the question mark. That means 18 were not pink. So I'm going to label that not pink. And that's my answer. When I justify, I'm going to show you or revisit a cool strategy. It's called the from strategy. I'm going to write down in a sentence what I did. I subtracted 138 because that's the number that I took away. I subtracted 138 from my total, 156. Whenever you see the word from, draw a big arrow over it, because that big arrow is a reminder that we started our subtraction problem from 156, because we're subtracting this number from this number. And if we're subtracting that number from that number, then we're starting from this number. So if you ever see a sentence that looks like that, always start from this one that it's pointing to. 156, take away 138. Which is exactly what we did. And now we can move on. Last one. Are you reading closely and looking? Find the question. Which of the following shows a way to determine how much money Marissa has now? Underline. Read the details. Marissa saved $683 last year. In January, she spent $75. She received $129 for her birthday. Now I'm going to circle some clues. She saved $683. That means she kept that money. In January, she spent $75. Spent means that she used them to buy something. So I'm writing used. She received $129 for her birthday. Received means she got. Someone gave her $129. Which of the following, that means which of these, shows a way to determine means figure out how much money Marissa has now. How much money she has now. I'm starting with my 3-step. The first thing I need to do is my main idea. Which of the following shows the money she has now? What do I know? Well, I know that she saved $683. So I can go ahead and practice my strip diagrams by making one. How could I show what I know in a strip diagram? I know this problem is about Marissa, and she has money, and I know that she saved $683. I'm labeling that saved. In January, she spent $75. So I actually messed up here, and that's okay to make mistakes. That was the total number that she had saved. So my total number needs to go at the top. And from that money she had saved, she used 75. So I'm just going to make a little break here, and I'm going to take away that 75 because that's how much she used. If I just look at this picture, my action here is take away, and the operation that goes with take away is subtraction. But that's not everything I know. I also know that she received $129 for her birthday. She got some more money after she spent this money. So right now I don't know how much she has left. So let's change this label to L for how much she has left. But whatever the answer is, I know that it's going to be the same size as that bar. I still don't know, but I do know that after this money went away, she got 129 more. And I know that when two bars are touching, they're coming together. And my goal here is to find the total. And even though this picture said it was subtraction, I'm looking now at this picture. And even though I don't know what this number is, I see that the two bars are being put together. That's my action. And that the operation that goes with that action is addition. So I can try and find my total. So let me mark that clue off to the side. So first, I'm going to be looking for a number line that shows subtraction and then addition. What number did I start with? I started with my total of 683. So that's what your number line needs to start with too. This one starts with 683. This one starts with 683. And the way that you know it starts with 683 is by looking to see if it has an arrow. If an arrow is going to there, then it doesn't start there. But if there is no arrow, then that means it does start there. This one starts with 683, and this one starts with 683. So they all start with 683. But now, I just need to make sure that 683 has 75 being taken away. If I look on a regular number line, if I move forward, my numbers get bigger. That shows that I'm adding, going this way. But if I go the opposite way on a number line, my numbers get smaller. That shows that I'm subtracting. So I need to take away 75 from the 683. This one is going this way, which means it's subtracting 75, so that's good. Let's see if this one is taking away 75. This one's also subtracting 75, that's good. This one is taking away, but it's taking away 129, and that doesn't match what I have in my strip diagram. So C is incorrect. D actually goes the other way, which means add. But we're not adding 75. We're taking away 75. So D is incorrect too. So after I took away 75, in my next picture, whatever answer I got, I added 129 to it. So I took away 75, whatever my answer was, I don't know, but I added 129. This shows that it's going backward, which means that I'm subtracting. But I'm not taking away 129. I'm adding 129. So A is incorrect. Let's just double check to make sure B is correct. I took away my 75, and now my arrow is going forward, which means that I'm adding 129, which is exactly what my picture wants me to do. So B is our correct answer. And I can justify that by saying that I eliminated my answer choices. And that's our review. Good luck tomorrow.